You can't drive through here anymore. That's what Susan Blackwell, the iron-fisted president of the Oakwood Hills Homeowners Association, barked at me one sweltering afternoon in Willow Creek County, Texas. She stood there in her designer sunglasses, arms crossed like a traffic cop, while a crew bolted a massive chain-link gate across the only paved road to my ranch. I wiped sweat from my brow, fresh from mending a corral fence, and stared at the barrier now severing me from my own property. At first, I figured it was a mix-up, but when Susan slapped a formal notice into my hand, demanding I join her HOA or kiss access goodbye, I knew it was no joke. This was straight-up blackmail wrapped in neighborhood rules. What Susan didn't know was that I'd spent years as an Army engineer, blasting through mountains and bridging rivers under fire. If she wanted a standoff, she'd just kick the hornet's nest. My name's Jack Thompson. After 20 years dodging bullets and bureaucracy in the military, I cashed out for a slice of peace. 80 acres of rolling pasture and oak groves in Willow Creek. The deed was rock solid, boundaries marked clear as day. I craved a life where the only boss was the weather. But I'd overlooked one snag. The access road snaked through Oakwood Hills, a gated suburb gripped by Susan's HOA. 4 generations, ranchers, UPS trucks, and even the volunteer fire department had zipped through without a hitch. Then Susan seized the presidency and smelled opportunity. To her, that road wasn't a necessity, it was a bargaining chip. She marched up with her cronies, declaring that if I wanted to keep using their pavement, I'd pony up monthly fees. Sounded like a friendly ask? Nah, it was coercion with a Texas twang. I shot back that my spread predated their McMansions, my title free and clear. Susan just smirked, weaponizing every loophole. She figured I'd cave for convenience, but I'd stared down worse than a clipboard queen. That night, under a starry sky, I vowed, if she blocked my path, I'd carve my own. The blockade hit hard the next morning. I heard the clang of metal and rushed out to see workers erecting that gate, complete with a barbed wire topper. Susan supervised from her lawn chair, sipping sweet tea like it was a tailgate party. I demanded answers. She called it securing association assets. Assets? That was her spin on my lifeline. Rage boiled, but I held it. She thought she'd starve me out, but she'd ignited a fire. By week's end, the gate locked tight, and they gouged a ditch across the road, wide as a pickup, deep enough to swallow tires. Even busting the lock wouldn't help. It'd trap any vehicle. I confronted the crew. They pointed to Susan, who toasted me with her glass. Non-members don't freeload, she sneered. Trespassing, she labeled me, an intruder on my own route home. I phoned the sheriff. A grizzled deputy showed, eyed the mess, and shrugged. HOA owns this strip. Private land. But easement laws? If I prove decades of open use, courts might force a right-of-way. Takes time, though months, years. Gray area, my ass, I was stranded. I improvised. ATV trails through the brush for errands, a pilot pal airdropping hay bales via his Cessna. Susan flipped when that plane buzzed her cul-de-sacs, filing noise complaints the sheriff ignored. She retaliated with bogus citations, engine revving at dawn, fence encroachment. Stacks of legal threats arrived certified mail, her signature like a venomous scrawl. One dusk, spotlights glared as they widened the ditch into a ravine. Susan hollered, "Find a detour, Jack." I chuckled darkly. If she dug low, I'd go lower. In my barn, I dusted off old schematics, trenches, bunkers, sappers' tunnels from my service days. A bypass under their road. Feasible. I called dig before you dig. No lines buried there. Staked the route. Recruited 2 vet buddies who'd laugh at HOA nonsense. Some suburb boss lady fencing you in? Count us in. We struck at night. Shovels, jacks, timber braces. Hauled dirt in wheelbarrows, shored walls with rebar. Exhausting, but each yard forward mocked Susan's walls. She paraded by day, clueless, and we tunneled beneath her feet. 2 weeks in, the tunnel hummed. Gravel floor, vent fans from a Jenny, sturdy as a storm shelter. Susan ramped up patrols, cameras whirring, a rent-a-cop dozing in his car. She blocked mail trucks, even the gas man, sparking yells. I flagged the fire chief. This ditch kills response times, heart attacks, barn fires. He agreed, citing rural access codes. Unobstructed paths save lives. I shoved that at Susan. She scoffed. Your issue, not ours. Power trip, pure and simple. Her letters piled. Drone invasions from my drops, trail erosion. One midnight, headlights pierced my field. Neighbors spilling tales of Susan's fines for unmowed ditches or loud barbecues. She's a bully, one growled. My fight sparked theirs. Volunteers swelled. Mechanics, welders, even a teen learning trades. We shifted dirt like ants, defiance fueling us. A storm nearly broke it. Lightning flashed as an ambulance stalled at the ravine. Elderly neighbors stroke. Medics couldn't cross. I raced over, ferried gear via ATV through the woods. He lived, barely. That fueled fury. Lives on the line for her ego. Sheriff admitted, court'll hate this. Tunnel ready, I rigged cams for the big show. Dawn broke. I eased my truck in, beams groaning but holding. Emerged beyond the barrier, free. Susan arrived, froze seeing me lounging roadside. How? She stammered, spotting the hidden exit. Her meltdown, clipboard flung, screams echoing, went viral on local Facebook groups. Neighbors howled. Her board wavered, one quitting over obsession. She sued. Vandalism, unsafe digging. I countered with allies. Fine folks donated, lawyers pro bono. Emails leaked. Susan boasting, squeeze him till he pays. My attorney, Lisa Grant, piled evidence. Delays endangering lives, her rants on tape. The court was electric. Lisa opened. Easement rights trump HOA whims. Witnesses, the stroke victim, a FedEx driver she berated, viral clip. A mom whose preterm labor needed my tunnel detour. Susan crumbled on the stand, admitting safety blind spots. Judge ruled. Easement granted, barriers down at HOA cost, $30,000 damages. Susan fined $3,000 and booted as press. Gallery erupted, justice tasted sweet. Cruz raised her fortress days later. Susan hid, blinds shut. New prez, mild-mannered teacher Mary Ellis, apologized publicly. My ranch hosted a Freedom Fest barbecue, grills blazing, band jamming, tunnel dubbed Blackwell Bypass, with a plaque. Memes flew. Susan's house listed, her fleeing to anonymity. Months on, Willow Creek thawed. Wilder yards, kids chalk art unchecked, neighbors swapping tools sans fines. Tunnel became a quirky attraction, funding vet charities. Peace reigned, road open, community knit tight. I'd sought solitude but forged bonds. Susan aimed to cage me. Instead, she freed us all. Dig deep when blocked, literally. What do you think? Was Susan a villain or just enforcing rules? Share your take in the comments, stand your ground, and let me know your HOA horror stories.